Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our iOS development with UIKit tutorial series. And in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can insert rows into a table view and how we can remove rows from a table view using swipe to delete functionality in our table view delegate. So let's get started. The first thing that we are going to do is we're going to take a look at the sample application that I have. So when we run the code, this is what we have. We have an application with two text fields and a button, and then we have a table view beneath them. The first text field is for the title of a movie. The second is for the release year of that movie. And then there's an add button, which we're going to, which is going to be used to add a movie object to an array of movies. And then we're going to insert that into the table view to display it to the user. The cell we're going to use for our table view is already configured, it's already created, and it's pretty much using UI hosting configuration to use a SwiftUI view for the cell. And this cell view is going to have two text views. One is going to be bold, and then the other is going to be kind of a grayish secondary label color. The first text, the bold text, is going to be the name of the movie. And then the second is going to be, excuse me, the second is going to be the release year of the movie. Pretty simple, nothing too complicated there. It's meant to be a simplified example of what you might do in a real application. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and go back into Xcode, and let's also briefly look at our movie object so we know what we're working with. Let's see. There we go, movie. So inside of movie.swift, this is what we have. We have a class called movie, and this class inherits from NSObject, so we can connect with Objective-C and all that kind of stuff. Generally in UIKit and AppKit for that matter, any of your models for data will inherit from NSObject. They don't technically have to, but it's a good idea to do that. So we are going to do that, inherit from NSObject, and then it conforms to the identifiable protocol. And with that, let's take a look at the properties that movie has. Movie has 3 properties, and then it has a computed property in addition. The first property is ID, which is a UUID. And this, basically what we're doing here is we're saying var ID equals UUID, where pretty much every time we instantiate a new movie object, it's given a unique ID. This is useful if you need to query a movie or something like that for whatever reason. Then we have a title, which is a string. And then we have the release year, which is an integer. Then our computed property, release year string, is essentially converting our release year to a string, so it's easier to display to the user. And then we have our basic initializer, which is pretty basic Swift code. It's nothing too advanced. And that's all we have for our data model. It's nothing too severely complicated. And then the only other thing that I've done is I have split our UITableView delegate and data source methods into an extension of our main view controller. And that's where the conformance is happening and all of that. So our main view controller.swift file isn't quite as cluttered. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to insert new rows. Excuse me. We want to insert new rows into our table. And we can do this using the insert rows at method. And this will also take in an animation for what kind of animation we want to occur when the rows are actually inserted into the table. So, how do we do this then? Well, the first thing is we need to make sure that our title and release year fields have actual text inside of them. We want to make sure that the text property is not nil. And then we also want to make sure that the release year can be parsed to an integer. And we can do all of those things using a single guard statement. Let's go ahead and do that first. So inside of the action method of our add tapped method here, we can say guard let title equals title field dot text, comma, let release year equals release year field dot text, comma, let year equals int release year, like that. Else we want to return. All right, I'm going to make sure that these are lined up here. And they are not, so let's line these up. Okay. Okay. I want to make sure that this is actually working properly. Comma dot text. There we go. Comma. All right. Okay, they are lined up. Perfect. So we can save that, and so far so good. The first step is complete, where we have all of our data prepared and sanitized and all of that. The next step is to create our movie object. So we can do that by saying let movie equals movie and give it our title and year, like that. And then the last two steps are, first, we need to append the movie to our source of data, our single source of truth. And then we need to call insert rows to make sure that our table view is in sync with our source of data. So let's go ahead and do that by saying movies.append movie, like that. And now we need to create, now we need to call insert rows. So to do this, we can say list dot insert rows at, and then the first parameter here is an array of index path objects. So because we're only adding a single row here, we just need one index path in this array. And we're going to be using the initializer of index path that takes a row and a section, because in order to insert a row into our table view, it needs to know what the row index will be and what the section index will be. Now, in this table view, we only have one section, so the section index will always be 0 in this case. But the row will be the amount of items in the in our source of data minus 1 in order to keep it within the range of our indexes. All right. So what we'll do is index path row, and the row here is going to be movies.count minus 1. And then the section is going to be 0, like that. And then we have animation, or with animation, and there are many that you can choose from. But I'm going to choose bottom, because I want my table view cells to appear like they're coming in from the bottom of the table to slide up into place. All right, and that is it, really. So let's go ahead now and save this code and run it. All right, we have a successful build. And we'll add a couple movies here. So, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which was released in 1999. And add. And you can see that that movie got added to our table. But we can also add more movies, so like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which was also released in 1999. Add that as well. And you can see now we have 2 rows. Not too shabby. All right, so that is how we can insert rows into our table. Nothing too complicated. You just need to understand how the index path is interpreted by our table view and the insert rows. So again, each index path, you have to provide it the row index and the section index. Otherwise, your app won't it will not insert the row into the table, and you will get an error telling you that you need to provide both the row index and the section index. All right. So, how do we enable swipe to delete. And how do we actually, delete our table view cells? Well, we only need a single method for this, and that is pretty much commit table view style. We'll take a look at that here. So let's go ahead and go into our extension. All right. We'll go all the way to the end of our extension here. And we want commit. All right. And so we want table view commit editing style. All right. So in here, this is where we're going to delete our specific row from the table. So there are a few different editing styles, but we want delete. So if editing style equals dot delete. So if the editing style for this cell is delete, which is what it is by default, then we want to first we want to remove it from the we want to remove the specific item from our source of data. So we'll say movies dot remove at, and we'll say index path dot row. Index path dot, okay, all right, so we want index path, all right, index path dot row. There we go. Don't know what Xcode was doing, but it was being uncooperative there for a second. All right, so now we have removed the row from our source of data. Then we need to sync our table view with the source of data by removing the row from the table itself. So we can say table view dot delete rows, and you can see that it is that it's going to be a similar signature to insert rows, where we want to remove rows with an array of index paths. So let's go ahead and fill that in. So index path with a row of, well, actually, we don't even need to, okay, let's see. Instead of what we're doing, we can just pass it index path like that. So just put that in the array. So index path that we're getting from from the method signature can go in the array, because that is the array that is going to be, that's the specific row that's going to be deleted. And then width dot, let's say, let's say right. So it looks like it's kind of sliding from the right, out of the way. All right. And that's it. Let's go ahead and run our code. And because I noticed VoiceOver wasn't reading the rows like it was supposed to, I'm gonna quickly fix that problem here. And that's gonna be as simple as modifying the accessibility element, children.combine. There we go. All right, let's run this again here. There we go. Let's add a couple movies. So I'm gonna say Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, 1977. And we'll add that. Well, 1980. 1980. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Add that as well. And then episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And then the release year is going to be 1983. Okay. So here you can see I have a couple rows. I have a couple rows now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put my mouse cursor as close to a cell as possible here without being able to see what I'm doing. And we're going to try to swipe to delete this cell. Okay, so here we go. You can see when I swipe, you can see that red button there on the edge of our table view. And that's the swipe to delete function working its magic. So if I swipe all the way to the edge, there we go. That row should be gone. So Star Wars Episode 4 is gone because I deleted that row. Now, if I focus on a specific row here, so let's say Episode 6, and using VoiceOver, I can also delete a row by focusing on the cell and doing a Command Option Control Space to bring up the VoiceOver action menu. And you can see there's delete here. If I go ahead and click on that, the action is performed. And now, the only row left is Star Wars Episode 5. That's the only row that we have left because I just deleted Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So, that is how we can delete rows in a table. So, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.